Hi everyone, welcome to Module 2. By the end of this module, you'll be able to apply instructional skills which promote a safe and accountable learning environment, as well as match students' learning styles and needs. A really important part of setting up a safe and accountable learning environment is creating safety through getting participants to know one another. And a good way of doing that is to work with icebreakers. And you'll hear the term icebreaker and energiser used interchangeably, and I like to differentiate between those two things. An energiser for me is really about recharging the learner's batteries, perhaps when it's at the end of a morning session or just after lunch or perhaps even mid-afternoon when everybody's feeling exhausted. An energiser is simply a chance to stand up, move around the room, stretch, etc. An icebreaker, on the other hand, is, as it says, breaking the ice. It's an opportunity for learners to get to know one another, and I'm going to demo for you a couple of my favourite ones. The first one I'd like to demo is two truths and a lie. So I'm going to write up 3 statements about myself, and I'm going to ask you to guess which one you think is false. Statement 1 is I speak German. Statement 2, I've lived in Denmark, Scandinavia. And statement 3 is I go to the gym twice a week. Okay, which one do you think is the lie? If you guess number 3, you're correct. So in summary, this is an example of an icebreaker that you might be able to use in your own learning environment. You've learnt 3 facts about me, and now I'd like you to go to the forum and post 3 facts about yourself, 2 which are true and 1 which is the lie. Post it onto the forum and then respond to 2 other people in our online community. I've been talking about the importance of creating a safe and accountable learning environment, and one way of creating that safe learning environment is actually using icebreakers. And an icebreaker which I found to be really effective in a face-to-face learning environment is something called What's in Your Wallet. I've invited Jace on the set today to demo how this works. In my workshops, usually there'd be groups of 4 or 6, and what I'd do is I'd ask everybody, and I'm going to ask Jace to do this in a moment, to pull something out of their wallet that reflects something about themselves, and then in about 1 minute to 2 minutes, share that information with the rest of the group. So Jace, I'll start first.
Good.
And demo this. I'm just going to go down to my wallet, and I'm going to pull out my Metro card from New York and talk about this.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so look, I was in New York last year in June. One of the first things I had to do when I arrived was get myself a Metro card organised. And something about the Americans I really noticed straight away was they're not so into the, excuse me, I'm looking to buy a Metro card for a month while I'm here in New York. And I went down in that mode to this guy that was behind the counter, and he like looked at me cross-eyed, didn't say anything, but it was like, I don't understand a word you're speaking. So as soon as I sort of said, Metro card, here for 1 month, he was cool, gave me the Metro card, and the best thing about this was I was living in the north of Manhattan and commuting down to the south each day.
Yep.
But the coolest thing was I felt I got to know New York City during that commute, morning and evening.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that was the Metro card.
That's great, and that's a great thing to keep in your wallet.
Thank you.
I might not have something quite so interesting.
What are you going to pull out of your wallet?
Well, let's have a look. I didn't have much warning in my wallet. It's not as neat as your wallet, but there's something quite funny here somewhere. Here it is. This is a VIP Power Club time zone card.
Okay.
This makes me some kind of superhero to my 6-year-old son. So if I pull this out, the magic happens. Not for me, but for him, because I don't know if anyone's ever been to a time zone, but you can't hear yourself think for the next 2 days after that. So that sort of represents where he is and where I am at the moment. Anyway, it is great fun to see him spending my money and playing all the games and running around like a crazy person.
Has he got a favourite game down there?
He actually, the thing I like is that he likes the traditional ones, like where you hit the things that pop up with a mallet, or throw the basketballs into, so that's, or the other one is the air hockey.
Oh, great.
So it's all the traditional stuff, which is good, I think.
Excellent. How often do you go down there with him?
It's a school holidays treat.
Okay.
I can't afford any more than like a couple of times a year because they're not cheap, but it's kind of fun. So, yeah.
Thanks very much, Jace.
No problem.
As you can see, you get to learn some interesting things about people that you're going to be working with, and it's actually a fun way to get a session going. The next topic we're going to look at is framing questions using think, pair, share tactic.